Will their $5 million nest egg get them to ages 85 and 100? Pa and GD are 65 and 60 and retiring now. Should Pa take Social Security before age 70? How should they bridge the gap until Social Security and minimize their taxes in retirement? That's up next on this bonus episode of Your Money, Your Wealth. I'm calling it YMYW Extra. I'm producer Andi Last, and you, the YMYW listeners, have sent us so many great and detailed retirement spitball requests that Your Money, Your Wealth hosts Joe Anderson, CFP, and Big Al Clopine, CPA, can't even handle them all. But we still need to get you answers. So I've enlisted the help this week of financial advisor Nick Rose, CFP, from the Pure Financial Advisors office in Woodland Hills, California, to help out. Now, it's important to note that this is just a spitball for educational purposes only. Even if you've given us a lot of details, we don't know everything about your financial situation. So please don't take this to the bank. Here's Nick's spitball. Nick, thank you for stepping in. I really appreciate the help.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to do it for Joe and Al.
All right, so let's get into this question. It says, greetings from Pa and GD here in Silicon Valley. Started listening to the show 6 months ago and now happily addicted. Wow. Thanks, Pa. You are now my song of choice when I'm at the gym, but please don't sing. Yeah, okay, no problem there. Do you sing, Nick?
No, I don't sing, and it's not going to happen.
Okay. All right, 2024 is a big year for us as GD had an epic birthday in January, bought a new Rivian SUV, and is retiring this month after 15 plus years working at that Forrest Gump fruit company that has a spaceship. You know what he's talking about?
Yeah, listen, I've seen Forrest Gump, but I got to be honest, that was a little bit before my time.
Okay, I believe that he's talking about Apple.
That's Apple. Yes, yes.
The Apple Park has got a building that looks like a spaceship.
That's a spaceship now, but that's right.
And he says that they're celebrating their 20th anniversary. Happy anniversary, Pa and JD. He says, I'm 65 and retired from 30 years in high tech, then realtor and high school coach for the past few years. GD is 60 and loves her Cabernet and Weekend Cosmo and Gold Rush, a bourbon cocktail. He does cheers with beer, any and all beers. Nick, what's your drink of choice?
These days, I'm just a simple guy with soda, so maybe a Dr. Pepper here or there.
All right, there you go. Good for you. That's a good way to keep the brain sharp, right? Pa says we are both very active, so we work hard to pay for our sins. He drives a 2011 Mercedes-Benz C300, which runs fine and gets him where he wants to go. GD loves her brand new Rivian R1S. Here's their financial situation. They've got a total of $5 million. That's 3.1 in a brokerage account, 1.5 in pre-tax IRA, $200K in a Roth, and $60,000 in I-bonds, plus $170K in cash. In 2023, they spent $135K, not including taxes. In 2024, Medicare kicks in for him, A, B, D, IRMA, and supplement, $9K per year, roughly. And GD insurance is about $7K for the next 7 months. With some home improvement projects planned and the new Rivian, we're budgeting for about $200K to be spent this year. A normal year, whatever normal is about $140K. They say your spending will go down in retirement, but I don't see that. My wife will have extra shopping time. They got no mortgage on their $1.7 million home and no car loan. Most of the information says that your spending will go down in retirement, but I think Paul might be right. I think it does go up when every day is Saturday, right?
Well, I mean, if it's anything like my weekends, when I'm here, there's only one person spending money at Target, but then when there's two people at home, but I'm usually at Costco buying meats and then preparing for the food for that weekend. So it does go up. Yeah, I've seen it go up.
All right. Both of his parents passed away in their 70s, so he's planning for maybe to live to about 85, and GD will live to 100. Good for you. Plan is to take Social Security at age 70 for both. Pa will have about 51K, GD will have about 52K, and he's thinking of starting earlier. He has a small pension, annual pension with no COLA, about 9K, inherited RMDs of 15K, so I guess that's an inherited IRA, 50K in dividends from a brokerage account, and no plans for working income. We'll do Roth conversions while we can, staying under the 24% tax bracket. Being in California, that extra 9.3% makes me think that if it's a difference maker. We are contemplating relocating to Summerlin, Nevada at some point. During the transition period to Social Security, we'll need to pull funds from our brokerage account, mainly AAPL, Apple, which we are pretty heavy in. Also might pull some out of our IRAs to lessen the RMDs once Social Security kicks in. He says our portfolio is diversified with stocks and bonds, international, domestic, emerging markets, and REITs. The Apple stock skews the percentages to 74% stocks, 20% bonds, 2% REIT, and 4% cash. His target is 65% stocks, 28% bonds, 5% REITs, and 2% cash. Like all your listeners, I too have a spreadsheet that solves all the world's financial problems. I think Pa might be an engineer.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
For years 2020 to 2050, I have actual from previous years and estimated numbers for his budget, his account balances, his income streams. He's very into this. But he says, I attempt to calculate federal and state taxes. My annual parameters are fairly conservative. For inflation, 3.5%, medical costs, 5%, rate of return on stocks, he's estimating 6%, and rate of return on bonds, 1%, plus the 2% Social Security COLA. Is that TMI? I don't think there's ever any such thing as TMI when it comes to giving us your financial information, right?
The more the better. The more the better. Please keep it coming.
Once you do your 3% calculation, I'm assuming he means potential withdrawal rate. He says, I think we will be okay. It's the minimizing tax thing that's the tricky part for me. I know you can't advise, but shooting the breeze should be okay, right? Thank you for all your help and your awesome show. Keep up the great work. P.S. GD is short for Grandma Donna. All right, so Pa and Grandma Donna, what do you think, Nick? Are they on track? And let's talk about what they should be looking at here.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first, forgive me if I call them by Papa and Gigi, because that's what my mom and dad go by. So
Oh, wow.
it's too close. So I might mess that up, but I've got it. Pa and Gigi here. So what do I think? Well, I think he's right on with the tax being the tricky thing. But I'm glad he's looking at that. He does need to be addressing that, and I think it's smart to put that on the radar. He did ask, is he going to be okay? Well, I don't know if you noticed here, but we've been talking a while. They've got a lot of moving pieces here. So I think high level, there's some, this is a good start, but I think that there's a lot to work on here before we put the stamp of approval on it. You know, I don't think he needs to be stressed out, but there's certainly mistakes that could come up along the way.
All right. So, he's planning for GD to live until 100. So how did they determine whether or not that $5 million nest egg is going to get them through to retirement?
Well, I guess if you're just doing the 3% there, right, then that should, you think you're making that work there. So the 5% on $5 million, let's just do a quick calculation on that. So that's $150,000. So
is that 5% or 3%?
3% of 5 million.
Yep.
$150,000. So that looks good there, with Social Security kicking in and the budget numbers they gave us. But you think about inflation over 30 years, that could really change the landscape. And then taxes. Taxes is the big expense here that hasn't been fully accounted for. So I think rule of thumb, things look good, maybe from the 30,000-foot view here, but certainly like he's wanting to do, it's going to make sense to get closer and see where the wheels might fall off, so to speak.
So Roth conversions, do they make sense for them? And at what kind of levels should they be looking at?
Yeah, absolutely.
He's suggesting Roth conversions while staying under the 24% tax bracket. What do you think about that idea?
Yeah, knee-jerk reaction is I think he's on the right track there. Looking at this, $1.5 million in a tax-deferred state, you're going to want to handle that sooner than later. And then if we're talking about retirement and not having taken Social Security yet, certainly now is going to be the time to do it, especially because there's 3.2 million there sitting outside of the retirement accounts that they could be generating some relatively tax-free or low tax income on. I would want him to get started right away and start converting as much as he can into the 10, 12, 22, 24. I don't know if he needs to go higher. That needs to be looked at, but I think there's something there.
So now they're talking about moving to a no tax state of Nevada. Does that have any impact on when they do their Roth conversions?
Well, in general, yes. However, we've got to factor what Social Security is going to do to taxes and when they're going to move. So might be worth paying this California state tax before they move, given that Social Security is going to could potentially trigger even more in taxes. So
And he's also considering maybe taking Social Security before age 70. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm not sure he needs to. I think he might be able to benefit from taking it later, but I guess if he's thinking he's not going to be around past age 85, there's an argument there that he might maximize the benefit for taking it a year or two earlier there. Though these days, that's 50% chance you make it to 85. So there's a 50% chance he's selling himself short by taking it too soon.
And any suggestions for bridging that gap until Social Security?
Well, yeah, absolutely. Just take it out of the non-retirement accounts, the brokerage accounts there. You got to look at that. I know Apple's probably a significant portion of that. If they've been holding Apple for a long time, then there's going to be some pretty hefty capital gains that need to be taken care of. But my estimation, just reading how he wrote it out, I'm guessing 10% of the portfolio is Apple stock. So if that's $500,000, there should be some flexibility in that account to bridge the gap until they need it. It's going to be a little bit higher than that 3% to get them there, but should be okay if they're doing things the right way.
And is there a strategy for diversifying that concentrated position in Apple?
Well, it starts with looking at what that capital gains is. And I don't know what they want to do with that Apple. I'm guessing she's been there for a while, and most folks I meet that have been working at Apple tend to like Apple. And so if she's drinking the Kool-Aid, that's great. I love my Apple products too. So I'm not here to tell her that she can't own Apple stock, but yeah, if it's a lot of capital gains, then there might be some strategies to think about that could protect it. Diversification is one tool, but some trading orders or option strategies, something very simple like that, could also be something just to protect the risk along the way. There's other complicated strategies, but I don't know that they need to go that far.
Got it. Okay. And then as you look through this fact pattern, is there anything that maybe they haven't considered, or are there suggestions that you would have for Pa and GD here?
Well, I think that he's got his Excel spreadsheet there, and it sounds like he's touching on the key topics there, but there's different phases that they're going to be going through. So I think that understanding each phase, the distribution and the impact that's going to have, and having an investment and tax strategy for each one are the key components there. How they're going to drive that income, where they're going to pull that from, right? Making sure the right account is set up for income and the right accounts are set up for growth. Really important. Their healthcare is on their mind, so they might want to just make sure they've got the estate in order and they've got some things set up now so that if anything happens in their 80s or 90s, they're in good shape. I will just say, keep in mind, if he thinks he's going to pass away and GD is going to be around for an extra decade, tax rates do change at that point. They become much more expensive. So that is
well, and as things stand right now, tax rates are already scheduled to go up in 2026. So in terms of doing conversions, it makes sense potentially to do those before the tax rates change, in addition to the fact that, he's looking at her potentially being on her own for a while, right?
Yeah, without getting into any government conspiracy theories, it just seems like a good idea. And next year we'll have a lot more information on what that's going to be, so paying close attention to that. But I just can't imagine not wanting to get started on that and just be done with it. Absolutely, get that done, get that taken care of.
Nick Rose from Pure Financial Advisors, thank you very much for stepping in and helping out. I really appreciate it.
Hey, my pleasure. Thanks for inviting me.
Pa and GD, thank you so much for your question and for your patience. Now, clearly, decisions about your entire financial future are complicated and worth more than a spitball. Take a deeper dive with a team of experienced professionals here at Pure Financial Advisors. Just click the links in the show notes to schedule yours and to get free access to tons of resources to help you get retirement ready. You can also subscribe to the YMYW newsletter so you never miss Joe and Big Al on the Your Money, Your Wealth TV show and podcast. You can help us grow the show by sharing it and by leaving your honest ratings and reviews in Apple Podcasts and any other podcast app that accepts them. Your Money, Your Wealth, and YMYW Extra are presented by Pure Financial Advisors, a registered investment advisor. This show does not intend to provide personalized investment advice through this podcast and does not represent that the securities or services discussed are suitable for any investor. As rules and regulations change, podcast content may become outdated. Investors are advised not to rely on any information contained in the podcast in the process of making a full and informed investment decision.